うんうんそうっすね。そうそうそう。
Dreams that we aspire to fulfill every day, together with our collaboration and commitment. As India embraces to be a 5 trillion US dollar economy by 2025, we are all geared up to be a part of this monumental journey to usher in a brighter, better future. Together, we touch ordinary lives and make that difference. We better every day. Together, we make steel that you carve into your agri equipment. Together, we sow the seeds of success. We make steel that gives the grit and grind to your heavy equipment. Together, we change the landscape of our country. We make steel that you beautifully mold into your automobiles, just to drive our nation on its path towards prosperity. We make steel that you transform into solar energy. Together, we steer our nation towards a greener tomorrow. We make steel that relays your transmission lines, just to brighten the future of millions. We make steel that styles your appliances. Together, we bring happy smiles. We make steel that adorns your development projects. Together, we provide shelter to millions. We touch lives, make them better together every day. We empower communities, make them better together every day. We nurture dreams, make them better together every day. As India embarks on its accelerated growth journey, we are firmly placed to leave our mark in it. Together, we touch millions of lives and make them better every day. India, a nation powered by a billion dreams, dreams that we aspire to fulfill every day, together with our collaboration and commitment. As India embraces to be a 5 trillion US dollar economy by 2025, we are all geared up to be a part of this monumental journey to usher in a brighter, better future. Together, we touch ordinary lives and make that difference. We better every day. Together, we make steel that you carve into your agri equipment. Together, we sow the seeds of success. We make steel that gives the grit and grind to your heavy equipment. Together, we change the landscape of our country. We make steel that you beautifully mold into your automobiles, just to drive our nation on its path towards prosperity. We make steel that you transform into solar energy. Together, we steer our nation towards a greener tomorrow. We make steel that relays your transmission lines, just to brighten the future of millions. We make steel that styles your appliances. Together, we bring happy smiles. We make steel that adorns your development projects. Together, We provide shelter to millions. We touch lives, make them better together every day. We empower communities, make them better together every day. We nurture dreams, make them better together every day. As India embarks on its accelerated growth journey, we are firmly placed to leave our mark in it. Together, we touch millions of lives and make them better every day.
Hello everyone. I welcome all of you to the 8th webinar in the Connect webinar series from JSW Steel. JSW Steel is India's leading integrated steel manufacturer with a footprint in over 100 countries. We have launched Connect with an intent to connect with the most enterprising architects, engineers, MSMEs, students, and channel partners. Today's webinar focus is strategic planning for MSMEs to succeed. I'm pleased to introduce the speaker for this webinar, Mr. Ravindra Bhan, founder, TPS Management Consultants. Mr. Ravindra is a solid business leader and visionary who has enabled over 100 organizations to achieve the next level of their current capacity. He has over 30 years experience across 6 countries. He is the author of the book, Make a Difference, that encourages startups to focus on success. Now, without any further delay, over to you, Mr. Ravindra.
Thank you very much. Am I audible, Ravi?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to this session on Connect. I am delighted to be here, and before I talk anything else, I do hope, pray, and wish that all of you are extremely safe and in excellent health. It will be my endeavor today for the next 1 hour to discuss with you some of the issues that are right now kind of impacting our business. Whenever any adversity comes, all of us get impacted in one or the other way. The impact is same, but the thing that makes a difference is how we respond to that impact. I will do my best to help you to understand how strategically you can respond to that impact and keep your business sustained and growing. My name is Ravindra Bhan. Ravi was very kind to give a very detailed introduction of mine, and I'm glad to be here. I will want to talk a little bit about what is strategic planning. You know, this term gets used very often, and all of us say, oh, you should have a good strategic plan. Or we have a strategic plan. Honestly speaking, most of the plans that we are talking about, or most of the times when we refer to strategic planning, in my opinion, it is not strategic planning. I'll give you some examples, and then we will walk through to what then is strategic planning. You know, what you will find most of the cases, particularly in the medium sector and the small sector, people will draw up a chart of what should be the sales, what should be the manpower, what should be the expenses, and what should be the profit for Q1, for Q2, for Q3, and together this all becomes the strategic plan. No, sir. This is an operational plan, or it's a business plan. It is not a strategic plan. Then people go a little further and they say, okay, we are going to use so-and-so technology, and that is our strategy. Or people say, no, that's fine. We will use that technology, but we are going to put more focus on larger products and smaller focus on smaller products. or the other way around. Some people say that we'll put less focus on some larger products and more focus on large number of small products and so on. And some people say, no, we'll put a focus on services. We will increase our services business. While some say, no, services has a bit of a problem. We will try and do it by trading. So we look at how we are going to generate our revenue sources. This is the other kind of thing which goes as strategic planning. The third is, you say, okay, now this is revenue is fine, technology is fine, but let us do some revamping of our manpower. Let us change our managers from sales to design, from design to HR, from HR to stores, and then change the general manager from here to that division, to this division, or to that particular vertical. That's another thing which goes around as strategic planning. And then the last one is, sometimes people say, no, our strategy this time will be to go to the Middle East market, or our strategy is to go to the European market, or to the American market, or new geographies. You know what? Honestly speaking, all these are also not strategic planning. These are what I call the game plan or tactics. In every business, yes, you need a game plan. You need a tactic of how you are going to achieve your objective, how you are going to achieve your business goals. What you see on the screen now is not strategic planning. These are various game plans of achieving your goals. What then is strategic planning is what we will try to see. I try to keep my part of the presentation to a minimum possible time so that I have more time in being able to answer your questions, because I personally believe that any session is meant for and belongs to its audience. I'm here as a facilitator. I will do my best to be able to present my thoughts, and then I will give the forum to you for asking your questions. What then is strategic planning? I'm saying, let's leave that big funda aside for a moment, and let's go to our small business, right? Let's forget about what is strategic planning. Let's look at our business. This guy, John Nesbitt, who expired in April 2020 recently, he is widely acknowledged as the world's leading futurist. He says strategic planning is worthless unless there is first a strategic vision. No amount of strategic planning will make any sense. All those technology, all the manpower placement, geographies, and so on, those will not make any sense unless you have a strategic vision. What are you visualizing? What are you aiming to arrive at? Whether you are big, medium, or small, it doesn't make a difference. The vision stays strategic for any size and regardless of the size. And for that, I would like to begin by a question. I'm not going to run a poll because that could be time consuming, but I want you to put your thoughts on one thing. Sitting here in this room, can you write down or maybe think about it in your mind, one single force or trend or opportunity or threat that will have the biggest impact on your industry in the next 5 years? I repeat, one single force or one single trend or one single opportunity or one single threat that will have the largest impact. There are a lot of them which will have some impact here and there, but I'm talking about one that will have the largest impact on your industry in the next 5 years. And for this, I'm saying ignore COVID, because COVID is temporary. Whatever I'm talking about is applicable at any given time in the life cycle of a business. Can we write that one single thing? Have you done that analysis? Now, if you have done that, then I want you to write down or think about how is your company today geared to address this? You know, in the first place, we want to know what is that one thing that is going to impact the entire industry in the next 5 years. And the impact is going to be the biggest of all. What is that one thing? If we have been able to identify that one thing, then the second question is, how well are we geared as an organization to address that impact? I don't want to sound theoretical or rhetorical, but imagine one thing. Organizations in 2019 if they had some way of imagining the COVID, then they would have known that this is the one big thing that is going to impact the entire industry in the next 5 years. If they had known that, then they would have also challenged themselves to know whether we are today geared to address that. And if yes, how? And if they were actually geared to address that, perhaps the problem that they are facing or the impact that they are facing would not have been there. Now, I'm not saying that somebody could foretell COVID, but there are so many things, leaving apart natural calamities. What is the trend in the business? How is technology, for example, going to move? What is that one thing that is going to impact our business? No matter how big, small, or medium your business is, you will need to know what is that one major impact that is going to come to this industry in the next 5 years. And you will need to ask yourself, are we geared to address this? And if we are geared to address this, how? And while you do that, you don't have to see that addressing or you are geared from your point of view. You have to see it from the customer's point of view, from your stakeholder's point of view. How will the stakeholder be able to be serviced? How will the customer be serviced once that impact comes? It need not always be a negative impact. You see, today, unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, we're all looking at a negative impact. There could be a positive impact. For example, when the internet came, it was one big thing that made the impact on the entire world. Now, people who were, let's say, doing physical deliveries, for them, the entire business would collapse because they had not imagined as to what is that one big impact that can come because of the internet and how are we going to be geared to handle that. If they had done that from a stakeholder's point of view, from a customer's point of view, they would have been better prepared to do that. And I don't want you to feel guilty. I can assure you that of all the CEOs, the founders, the managements that I have spoken, only 5% people have been actually able to write both the answers. That means very few of us are doing this analysis of our business, which is likely to impact a big impact in the next 5 years. That then becomes your strategic vision. If you are able to imagine that, what will impact this business, positive or negative? How is it going to impact it? How well are we geared to address that? That becomes your vision. That becomes your strategic vision. Now let me handle this vision bit a little. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not something like, oh, now we have to have a vision, so let's look for the best books or let's look for the best consultants from Harvard. No, vision is what we see. Very simple. Now, if you look at an organization and you look at the operational people, what do they see the company as? They see it as an activity. For the workmen, for the operating people, the entire purpose of the organization, the entire work in the organization is related to their activity. You know, if I give a very crude example, a mason, for him, the activity is to put one brick on top of the other brick. For him, that is the vision. That today I have put 30 bricks together, right? He's not concerned or bothered or need not be about what happens because of that. So that is the operating level. That is the lowest most level, which sees the company as an activity, which sees the job as an activity from 9 to 5. Then you go a step higher and you have now the supervisory staff. What do they see? They are now more bothered about the results. They say, okay, you guys are doing that activity, but what is the result? What has come out of it? Right? So that is your supervisory staff. So for them, the vision is the result. Then you come to the managerial staff. The managerial staff now says, no, I have targets. I need to achieve this target. We need to do that. So for him, the vision of the organization is the target. You go one step further, you have the CEO, the founder, the chairman. For him, it is a goal. He says, all right, this is my goal. To achieve that goal, these are my targets. For those targets, these are the results that are required. And for those results, these are the activities that are required. Now, this becomes the view of the organization at various levels. But it still does not tell you what your organization really is. Whether it's a small business, large business, medium business, what is your organization? Your operating staff is seeing it as an activity. Your supervisory staff is seeing it as a result. Your managers are seeing it as a target. Your founder is seeing it as a goal. Let's go a little further. Let's go on a 30,000 high vision, and let's see what if somebody was looking at your business, at your company, at your organization from a 30,000 feet above. What does he see? Does he see an activity? Does he see a result? Does he see a target? Or does he see a goal? No. He sees the impact that you are making. That is the vision. The way your company is being seen by, well, in this case, I would say the society, by your customers, by your stakeholders, by your vendors, by your employees who are, taking their activity part out. What do they see this as an organization? What do they see? And then the question to the founder is, what would you like them to see? What would you like the society to see your organization 5 years from today? What would you like to be remembered as? What would you like to happen as a result of what you are doing? Like when I talk to CEOs and founders, I ask them, what is the vision of the organization? That standard line is, we want to be the largest X, Y, and Z. Baba, yes, you will be the largest, but what will happen to the society because of that? We'll look at that in a little more detail in a short while from now. That would be the strategic vision. The strategic vision would be what you feel, what you can visualize as the impact of your business on the overall society. Now, once you have that vision, that is when the strategic planning process will begin. However, in order to have that vision, you cannot sit in a room and imagine that what is going to happen, or what is how do you gather data? What are the things that you look at? Do you look at what I have made? Here are the 5 products that we have. Here are the 5 people that we have. Here is the 5 technologies that we have. And if the emphasis is on what we have, or what we want to do, then you are possibly limiting yourself only to this portion. You are not getting concerned about this. And if you really have to concern about this, then you have to take a pause and you have to look around. You have to take that 30,000 feet level up, and you have to see what is happening there. Now, these are the kind of paths that you see. This is the kind of complicated world that you see. Now, you see, no more it is the activity or the result or the target or the goal. It is now you are seeing a larger picture. Now, what we see, therefore, unless we see that and we collect that data, we'll not be able to make any plan. Now, when you see that, how do we choose? What we see is this kind of a complex situation. Now, out of this situation, if we have to choose, what are the options I have? What are the technologies? What's my strategy? What's my way out? What's my game plan? We normally choose based on what is easy for us to do. We choose based on what we fantasize. So-and-so is doing this, we will also do this. We see a very nice building here, we'll also make a building like this. We'll see a very good road here, we'll also make a road here. So that's fantasizing. Or you copy others. You go and take a look at your competition and you find, okay, what is my competitor doing? Okay, he is in this particular segment, I'll get into this segment. So these are more or less the 3 things based on which we make a choice. Unfortunately, each one of these could be a wrong choice. And that is why, unless you have done your scanning properly, unless you have taken everything into account, no amount of this data is going to take you there. Now, what is it that we need to look at? The right scan. You first have to look at what is the political situation and its effect on the industry. You know what? And all of us have seen this, no matter which country we live in, every country has a certain political situation at any given time, which stays anywhere from 1 year to 5 years to, so many number of years based on the type of political system you have. The first thing that you need to look at is what is the political situation and how is it going to impact this industry. You need to collect that data. Now, how to do that, etc., I'll come to that in a short while. But you need to have a very, very clear idea of what is the political situation's effect on this industry. Then you have to look at what are the prevalent economic factors. Like there are certain countries where the economy is not doing well and is unlikely to do well for the next 5 years. You need to know that. You need to know what are the factors that are going to impact this industry, this business. Then, besides political and economical factors, you also have to look at what are the societal factors. There are so many products, so many technologies which are taking care of the political situation, which are taking care of the economic situation, but which are likely to be, if I may say, rejected by the society. Or on the other side, there could be some products, technologies, services, etc., which the society will grab. Now, unless you have an idea of what are the societal factors that are going to impact this business in the next 5 years as a large factor, you will possibly be making a mistake because you will not be knowing how the society is going to respond to you. So societal factors is the third thing, which is very important. And then, of course, the fourth factor is you have to look at what is the kind of technology that's going to come. What are the technology innovations which are likely to affect the market structure? Now, all of us have seen this, I think, in the past 10 to 15 years. The major difference between successful and non-successful businesses has been whether they had predicted the kind of technological innovations that could come. We might argue that this is only true for big companies. I'm telling you, it is not as much true for big companies as it is true for a small company. You know what? The chai wala down there, he would be able to sell based on whoever came to his shop. So he gives the chai, they give him 10 rupees and matter ends. Today, he's not able to sell like that. He needs technology. He needs to put it online. He needs the Zomato kind of guys to become there. Otherwise, he'll be out of business. Exactly the same is true of our business. The more small your business, the larger is going to be the impact of the technology change. Because possibly the larger businesses will be able to absorb that shock. Your business cannot. So you need to be extremely mindful of what are the likely technological innovations that are going to impact this business in coming years. And that one factor which is going to be able to do that. Then you also need to understand what is the present and the possible legislation. I've seen most of them, many small businesses, they make a fantastic plan, they make a fantastic strategy, but they do not know that there is so-and-so law which will not permit it. So you need to make a clear understanding of what are the likely laws that are going to come. I don't want to get political, but there are a lot of legal legislations that can impact the business, both ways, up and down. So unless you have done a very thorough understanding and analysis of what is the present legislation, for example, if you are in a product which is banned, but you know that this ban, let's take a very simple example of gutka. Now, the small fellow out there does not know that even if there is no legislation today, there is going to be a legislation in 3 years from now, which is going to ban this. Now, all of his planning will go absolutely haywire if he did not factor that. So legislation, present and possible. You have to be able to predict what kind of legislation is likely to come in the next 4 or 5 years. And finally, and most importantly, you have to look at what could be the environmental concerns that could impact the demand. PET bottles is your example. Overnight, several governments said that plastic is environmental unfriendly. Ban it from so and so date. It's not about legislation. It is about what could be the environmental concern that can impact the demand of my product. Now, once you have all these factors taken into account, that gives you a right scan of the market. So now you are able to decide this based on data and not based on ease of operation, copying somebody else, or fantasizing things. No, that could be wrong. This the whole thing of these 5 things was in fact suggested by Professor Francis, who called this the Paisley diagram. Political, economical, social, legislative, environmental, technological. So if you put these together, it comes to PESTLE, Paisley, which is called the backbone for strategic planning. You cannot do any strategic planning unless you have done a Paisley scanning of your business, unless you have done the Paisley scanning of the environment in which you are living, on the kind of impact that it's going to make to your business. So backbone of the business is this Paisley scan. Now, why is it very important in the current situation? You will have to calculate what is the total. I mean, all of us know that pandemic has changed the market mix and the market possibilities a great deal. Now, you will have to do a Paisley and calculate what is my total addressable market. And you have to also calculate what could go right and what could go wrong. I'll not be able to reach out to every customer. I'll not be able to reach out to every product. I'll not be able to service every need. So what are the factors that could go right or wrong? That is a calculation that has to be done. Strategic planning is not forecasting, foretelling. Strategic planning is actual calculating your strategy based on data, based on information. So this is the one calculation that I'm particularly proposing for the current situation. You have to weigh your options and weigh your differentials. You may have a lot of options, but what is it that's going to differentiate you from the others? So you have to weigh that. You have to see, am I going to be able to provide a differential which will put me ahead of others? So you need to weigh that. You need to define the attributes of your product. And attributes means those that matter to the customer. And you have to know that one attribute which will outweigh the 10 other outputs. You're having hundreds of examples today. Pandemic has given so many examples of there was one particular attribute of a particular product and the product went absolutely strong in its sales. Take N95 masks. There is one mask which provides some kind of a protection. There's another which, but there was one attribute that this will protect 98%. So that was the attribute. So you have to, no matter what your product is, you have to find out which is that one attribute that's going to outweigh the 10 others. And having done that, you will need to identify what are our strategic priorities. In view of this, in view of the Paisley scan that you have done, in view of the calculation that you have done, in view of the weighing of your options and differentials and your attributes, which matter to the customer, the one that matters the maximum, then you have to identify what should be the strategic priority of this organization. Don't get carried away by something that is going to immediately happen. You know, like when the pandemic happened, everybody started manufacturing masks. Fair enough, right? But I knew, many of us knew that this mask business is going to go out of market. I mean, people started making ventilators. Now, was that a strategic priority? And based on those strategic priorities, you have to bloody well decide for your organization, what are the strategic results that we need? Based on all this information, we put this together. These are our priorities, and these are the strategic results that we need in quick time. This then becomes the basis for your strategic vision, your mission, your strategy, and your business plan. What I define vision as something that you would like to be seen as. You know, most often, and I get to meet a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses. I find either companies do not, or either executives do not know what is the vision statement of their organization. They have to refer to the website and look at, okay, or they have a vision which is numbers like, we want to reach 500 crores. We want to do this. Those are really speaking the results. That is not a vision. The vision is based on what you saw. What is it that's going to be most important impact on our industry in the next 5 years? And for that, how are we going to respond? And then what is critical for our success? And what are the critical results that we must achieve? Let me give you an example. Something that makes an impact for a better tomorrow for all. You might feel that's being, you know, what do I call? That's being Raja Harishchandra. It's not that. Whatever impacts everybody will ultimately mean good for you. This company says that our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company and to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. There was this young guy who said, okay, I want to be the most customer-centric company. Fine, fair enough. But I want to find a place where people can come and find whatever they want. Now, he was not into products. He was not into what is good or bad. Somebody wants something bad, he should be able to find it here. Whatever anybody wants to buy online, I should have a place where he can come and buy it online. Good, bad, or ugly. All of us know the company. And of course, makes money. So it has to be something that's good for the society, makes an impact for all, and makes money, just like it did for Amazon. I wanted to give you this example because many times people tell me, no, sir, this is all right, वो vision वगैरह ठीक है, but उससे पैसा नहीं कमा सकते हैं. I'm telling you, my dear friends, you cannot make money by anything other than a good vision. And the example is in front of you. It's not, I don't know how many years Amazon is, but today it's the largest place on the globe for what it's doing. So if you want to make money, you have to have a strategic vision. And if you think that strategic vision is only for the books, then you are losing out on that opportunity to make money. Now, once you have a clear strategic vision that makes a larger impact, besides you will need to be seen as working towards that. People will have to see that you are working towards that vision. Now, how are you going to make yourself visible to that? What are you going to tell the world that I am working towards this impact? Because unless the world is told, your internal people will not be aware, your supervisors will not be aware, your managers will not be aware, and you will not be aware. So you need to have a mechanism by which you convey both internally as well as externally that we are here to make a larger impact based on this, and this is our method. So there must be a visible activity towards realizing that vision. What is that visible activity? That's called the mission. And that is what goes as the mission statement. It is a specific, consistent purpose of why we are here, how we are going to get into that. Take a look. We aim to create emotional connections with customers around the world through inspiring product design, unique store experiences, and competitive marketing. Sounds very complicated, sounds very theoretical, sounds like very bookish. I don't know whether the guy will succeed or not. He has perhaps attended too many management classes, so he is talking nonsense. No, here is the guy. Go anywhere in the world, and the difference that you find in a Gap store and the other store is this. And Gap is not as old as Rolls-Royce. Gap is not as old as Ford. But Gap is perhaps making more money or making more impact. Now, therefore, because they decided that we have to have something which is visible to the world and which tells the world how we are going to be able to do this. So they wrote a mission statement saying that we will create an emotional connection with customers around the world through inspiring product design, unique store experience, and competitive marketing. So that's the importance of a vision statement, of a mission statement. And all of us, big, small, or medium, need to have that mission statement. Now, based on the situation that we are today, the focus of the CEO, based on this, I'm not getting into the details of strategic planning exercise, which will perhaps take 2-3 hours, but I wanted to look at, in this current situation, the kind of market that we are here today, which parts or which chapters of the strategic planning business are critical for the CEO to focus on. And I came upon this. Yes, you make your strategic vision and mission. That is your requirement number one, because unless you do that, nothing else can be done. Because unless you know what is it that you are headed to, unless you have done your PESLIC scan and you have decided, okay, these are the factors that are going to impact. This is politics, this is economics, this is environment, this is technology, this is legislation, and this is all of this is together. Based on that, you decide your strategic vision and mission. And after that, you ask yourself, in order to achieve that, what are the strategic results that we will need and in how much time? Once you have done that, then based on those strategic results, you have to decide what are your strategic priorities now. Strategic priorities could be financial, customers, internal processes, organizational capacity. Now, can you look at these 4 things? None of these are getting you the result. Result is a method of measuring it, but these are your priority. Your priority is, let's say, financial discipline or financial augmentation. Your priority is customer. Your priority is an internal process, more required today. Your priority is organizational capacity. With the kind of pandemic situation that we are in, a lot of people have left for their homes. A lot of people, unfortunately, have lost their kith and kin, and they are not. I was reading yesterday, the IT sector is going to see something like 30% reduction in productivity because many people have lost their relations and they won't come back to work. So that will impact productivity. Well, we are very sorry for that. Yes, we do sympathize, but in a business sense, that means your organizational capacity is going to be impacted. So that has to be your strategic priority. Now, I'm not saying for every organization sitting here in the room, these are the 4 strategic priorities. I gave this as an example, which in my opinion, today, for a small, medium business in the region, these are the 4 most important priorities. And this you will get to know only after you have done your market scan. Now, if you break down these strategic priorities, I've taken these 4, for example. Financial means you need revenue, you need profit, and you need to cut down your cost. Now, what you see here are the results that will come from this. Priority is finance. The result is revenue, profit, and cost. Your revenue has to go up, your profit has to go up, and your cost has to come down. So you got to be able to have a measuring mechanism for that. I'll come back to that in a minute. In terms of customer, you need to be very clear about what you are offering, and the customer needs to have clarity of what you are offering. We have seen in this current situation, a lot of new businesses came up. They promised a lot of things. The customers developed a certain perception of what they are going to offer, but what we actually got was different from that, right? So if you want to prioritize your customer, you have to have a result objective that the offering should be clear to the customer. And his perception of this offering should be same as yours. He should not perceive it as getting something different from what you are supplying. And therefore, he should perceive it as exactly what you are supplying. That is going to be very, very critical in the current market situation, because the customer today does not need a lot of hard sales. Customer is broken. He needs products, whether he needs oxygen, he needs a mask, he needs food, he needs a work from home kind of equipment, whatever be your product. JSW Steel, he needs steel furniture at his home, he needs a house, whatever. But so it's not so difficult to sell at this moment of time. I'll be happy to answer questions if anybody has later on that. But what is more difficult today is that the customer has to perceive this offer exactly the way you have it in your mind. Then he has to be satisfied with your offering. Because if he is not satisfied with your offering, he may buy once, he may be fooled into buying it once, but he is not going to buy again. So these three then become your strategic results. So your priority is customer. The results are clarity of offering, perception of offering, satisfaction of offering. Sales will automatically come because sales you have ensured here. You are monitoring sales in any case through this. But customer as a priority, you as the CEO, you as the founder, you as the head, you have to look at these three things. If you are taking care of these three things, the rest of it will be taken care. And in terms of internal processes, communication is going to be the most important priority for you at this time internally. We have all seen examples of how a lot of companies have communicated to their people that we're going to cut salaries. Some people have said that we're going to pay salaries for the next 5 years. Now, how are you communicating it to your people? Okay, the working hours are different. The expectations are different. All this will need to be communicated properly. So your internal process, internal communication is going to be a priority. As the CEO, make sure that your internal communication processes are absolutely perfect. And as an internal process, you will have to quickly automate, because we have seen number of man hours available today is less than what we had, and therefore a lot of processes will need to be automated. And of course, you as an internal process, you have to control cost. And then coming to the organizational capacity, you have to have a talent pool, because we are going to see a difficulty of getting talented people, which is with or without pandemic. You have to have a capability and capacity in technology. And you have to have a very strong supply chain. I'll not overemphasize on that. Most of you would be aware of that. Now, these priorities will have then to be converted into operations, because you can't leave it as a good slogan on the wall and put it as a poster and say, now we are done. We have identified our priorities. These have to be converted to operations. Now, if these are your priorities, the immediate next thing that you need to do is you have to convert them into business objectives. And these business objectives have to have, each of these things have to have these three attributes. How are you going to measure it? For example, I'll take the simplest example of revenue. Revenue, I need XY% growth. Profit, I need so much % growth. Cost, I need so much % reduction. So you have to define what is the metric. How are you going to measure it? Similarly, for customer, ABC number, internal processes, what percentage of automation, what percentage of communication, what percentage of cost control. Organizational capacity will be by when you will have these people, by when will you have this technology, by when will you have this supply chain. So that will be the metrics. Now, against each metrics, you have to fix the target. Okay, if here it is the percentage of revenue, we need 5%. So you have to put 5 here. Same thing in each one of these. Now, it's not enough to put targets. It's not enough to define metrics and targets. You also have to define what are the initiatives. What actually are you going to do on the ground in order to achieve that target? So those initiatives will have to be identified and documented. And you have to be actually monitoring all this, which means the organizational capacity, Here are the metrics. Here is how you will measure it. Here is what the target is: 15%, 10%, 3%, whatever on each one of these. 9%, 90% efficient, 95% technologically this is, and initiatives. How do we implement new financial accounting system, competitive end user requirement in the new UK regions? I'm just giving an example. Don't go by this. This is taken purely for an example. So you write down your initiatives, and all these things will need to be controlled by your management, which is from the manager down to this. Now, as the CEO and the founder, you have to look at these 4 things continuously. You have to look at what is my vision, what is my mission, what are the 3 important priorities that I have, and what are the strategic results that I need, and those will come from these business objectives. Unfortunately, what happens is that many, I would not say most, that many small medium enterprises have owners spend time here. They lose sight of this. Now, when you lose sight of your vision, your mission, and your strategic planning, then you are doing the operations. You are the most expensive clerk in the organization. That job is for your managers. Your job is to look at these 4 things so that your organization will be seen as what you wanted it to be seen as. And that's where the focus of the CEO or the founder should be. Now, 2 last things very quickly. What I hear from most people is strategic planning for SMEs. There are common myths that I hear is that, number 1, it is only needed by big companies. Number 2, it is not a priority in COVID. We have to survive somehow. Number 3, we cannot afford it. Strategic planning is a very expensive exercise. We can't afford to do it. Number 4, we don't have the expertise. How can we do it? Number 5 is we just want to survive. We don't want to do any planning for 5 years later. We don't have the time for doing it because we are in urgency. These are this thing. I will not have time to define all of these, but what I can guarantee you in this short time, that all of these are myths. And how we can help. Me as an individual, we as an organization, I can show you why it is more needed by SMEs. I can help you use it in fighting the COVID crisis. In the COVID crisis, if COVID crisis is your challenge, strategic planning is your answer. I can show and prove you the savings from this. Because if we did that exercise, what I talked about a couple of slides back, if we did that exercise, we'll be able to save on costs. We'll give you the expertise of 30 years that I have here, and I will make you the expert that you can do it yourself. We will help you to survive and sustain. And we can help you to make this entire plan is in 30 days and even implement that. That is how we can help. You are most welcome to contact us, and we will be ready to answer that. And I'll now open it for questions. Those of you who would like to note my coordinates, here they are. And Mr. Deepal, if we can now have the questions open, I'll be very glad to answer them. I can see the dashboard. Okay. Deepal, if you are here, can you please find out what questions are there?
Mr. Dilshad Ahmed is asking, how to analyze the competitors? What is the scanning? How do you scan the competitive environment?
You have to use data, you have to use information, and you have to get a very, there are so many data sources available. You will have to scan you have to first identify your competitor. And I would also say that before you identify your competitor, please identify your customer and scan the market for what your customer is asking for.
Okay. Mr. SP Sharma is asking, I am having a small company having turnover of 40 lakhs. How can I
Yes.
go about making the strategic planning, and how can I implement it?
Sir, strategic planning is required by a company whose turnover is 5 lakhs. You are very lucky that you are 40 lakhs. Strategic planning is done by the chai wala down there who understands कि अब इस मार्केट में साला यहाँ पर कोई नहीं आता है, कैसे भी इसको हमको घर पे भेजना पड़ेगा. That is a strategic plan. Now, don't make strategic planning as something like this is rocket science, which is only for Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft. No, it is for you and me. 40 lakhs is quite a good turnover. And for you to make a strategic plan, I will help you to make it. But you will have to give me the data of what is it that is going to impact your business maximum in the next 5 years. In political terms, in economical terms, in legislation, in technology, in societal terms, in environmental terms. Once you do that, I'll be very happy to make the plan for you.
So how do we go about selecting the right people to achieve our strategic, our vision? How do we go about selecting the right people?
Is it about talent hiring?
Yes.
Okay, you will be able to select the right people provided before that you have done an exercise of what you exactly want from that person. My own experience with small medium enterprises is they go about hiring. क्या चाहिए? मैनेजर चाहिए. वो क्या करेगा? सर कुछ करेगा. Or we want a design engineer. Many times you don't want a design engineer. What you need is to buy somebody's design. Now, I'm saying that yes, how you hire the manpower is stage 2. In stage 1, do you have the clear job description of the person? Do you have a clear budget for that position? Do you have a clear career plan for that position? If yes, India today has more than ever available manpower which is talented and qualified, but they will not join if you don't have a clarity of what's your expectation from him, what's your budget for him, and what is your career plan for him. So it is not difficult to find people. It is more difficult to define what we want out of them. People are available. You go to Naukri.com, you go to LinkedIn, you go anywhere, you call me. I at least get on an average, I get about 70 to 80 CVs every day. Sir, I'm looking for a job, and excellent people with very good qualifications, with very good experience. So that's not a challenge. The challenge is, do you have a budget for your people? Now, your budget for your people will come from your strategic plan. What is your target? What is your goal? What is your priority? And that will come from there. Finding people is not a challenge. The challenge is defining the right role and defining the right budget for that.
Okay. Mr. Tanveer Singh is asking, how would you guide an SME to go about adapting towards technical changes in the field? He is in the automotive component distribution business.
Right.
How do you go about technological adaptations?
If you are manufacturing the automotive parts, then then the technology will impact you. If you are only trading in the automotive parts, then technology will be taken care by the OEM. But you have to make sure that you are choosing the right technology products. Now, I'm assuming that you are manufacturing. You will have to scan your market. You will have to do a PESLE analysis. What is going to be the technological impact? You will have to do a lot of homework. You will have to do a lot of study. You see, products or businesses do not happen because I sat in my workshop and I made a product and I loved that product. It doesn't matter. I may not love my product, but the customer has to love my product. Now, for that, I have to do a lot of study of what are the kind of technologies that are coming, and how then I will look at how I'm going to respond to that. So a lot of homework. We can help you out. Once we know what your products are, what your challenges are, we can help you to do the study of what the technology changes are likely to come.
Rajiv Karthikeyan is asking, mine is a startup company. Do I need strategic planning for it? Yeah, and what are the charges for the same? How can I?
If yours is a startup company, my sincere suggestion would be that don't start the company unless you have done strategic planning. Because otherwise, क्या होगा कि India में I think they register 40 lakh companies every year, and 39.5 lakh companies get closed. So why do they get closed? In fact, there was a video by me on LinkedIn the other day. I said most people get closed because they have not preparation. In fact, I gave an example. Why do people fail in SSC exams? They fail. They have the same syllabus. They are going to the same school, same college, same everything, but they fail. Why they fail is because they have not prepared. Yes, you should do your preparation. You should do your strategic planning. Now, how we can help you in that? I'll not be able to tell you what it will cost and so on because I would not have more details. You're most welcome to write to me or give me a call. You have my phone numbers or speak to Deepal and we will be very glad to help you out in that. And I can assure you one thing. The strategic planning is not as expensive as we are imagining. But yes, it's not free because if it is free, then nobody will. My thing is this: if I have to give you a free advice, then I will see the slot when I'm not doing anything else. So you will get the worst of the slots. But I can assure you, it's highly economical, and your return on this investment is very high. That I can assure you.
Okay, Mr. Praveen Hadagal is asking, SME is working right now on a very tight working capital, and the whole system is of availing credit and supplying material credit has become disrupted due to the COVID. How do SMEs safeguard themselves from similar situations in the future?
Okay. This is a very long discussion, but I can tell you one thing. I have been speaking to SMEs for the past 11 years, and I have always said one thing, and there was no COVID that time. I have always said one thing, that if you are going to sell on credit, it is better to close your business. 4,570,000 crores is what the government owes this SME sector. Forget about private sector. Government owes it. And the government is talking of giving stimulus, giving this, that, and the other. Arey Baba, stimulus nahi chahiye, aap logon ke paise de do. Why? Because you have sold on credit. My very, very sincere advice to you is that if you are in a product where selling on credit is the only option, then remember two things. Number one, Amazon will never sell you anything on credit. They want their payment before you dispatch. Now you may say, nahi, uska wo market hai, hamara utna product acha nahi hai. That I can prove to you separately. I will not be able to get into this class on that. But never ever supply on credit. And if you have, unfortunately, if you have already got into a situation where your money is stuck with some customer, please help get in touch with me. I can tell you what is the process of a faster recovery. I cannot recover the money for you, but I can tell you what would be your possible process of faster recovery.
Okay, Mr. Sanjay Bokhare is asking, we are in the construction business. It is business is highly worker oriented. How can we how can we perform in a COVID scenario what is the strategy we should use to control our operations?
I do not know how big the business is. Frankly speaking, you are looking for a game plan. You are not looking for a strategy. इसी strategy would decide कि 5 साल में क्या होने वाला है, कौन सी बड़ी change आएगी, और बड़ी change के शायद ये भी decide होगा कि आपको construction business से बाहर जाना चाहिए, or you should automate the entire thing. JSW Steel will help you. They will help you to automate things, and your construction will become easier. But to hope that अब मैं strategic planning करके लोग काम पर आ नहीं रहे हैं, अब strategic planning से मैं लोगों को लेके आऊंगा, that doesn't happen. You will have to make a strategic plan for your business in the change scenario. Maybe you will have to change your business model. In fact, a lot of builders have changed their business models. Now they are selling on a different way. Of course, they're trying various methods, but the business model has to change. We cannot expect that yesterday's results are not guaranteed today, and yesterday's processes are not useful today. We'll have to find new processes. And manpower, sorry to come again, manpower oriented business should do extremely well this time. If it is only from the point of view of manpower, it should do extremely well for the simple reason that the maximum number of jobless people are available today. So if you have the right job description for them, if you have the right budget for them, and I'm not talking of MBAs and postgraduates, I'm talking of even illiterate people. Most of the illiterate people are also jobless today. But you have to have a correct career plan for them. You have to have the right job description for him, and you have to have the correct budget for him. People will come. People walk thousands of miles in search of work. But you will have to re-strategize your business. You will have to re-engineer your business based on what the current market situation is.
Mr. Lokesh Sood is asking, referring to the current market scenario, can COVID be considered as a permanent hindrance for the upcoming years in strategic planning?
Arey bhai sahab, Spanish flu killed 50 crore people. And that time there was no internet. People could not even count the bodies. And for a good 5 years, people did not even know कि कहाँ पहुंचा है. आज तो आपको टीवी पे शाम को बोलते हैं कि इस गांव में इतने केस है, इस शहर में इतने केस है, इतने ठीक हो गए, इतने मर गए, इतने वो हो गए. I'm sorry, I'm being very clinical, but the fact is that universe will not stop. Sun will keep shining. Moon will keep rising. Yes, it may be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We don't know. We lost world over. We lost X number of people. We might lose more people. Unfortunate, sad. But the fact is that the Earth will not stop rotating. So it cannot be a permanent hindrance on one hand. And on the other hand, it can in fact be a solution to the problem. Because imagine the number of new businesses that have emerged because of COVID. Now, if you had done if you would like to do your scan, if you would like to do what is the political, environmental, legislative, technology, economic impact, you might find that the business that you were talking yesterday is less profitable than something that has come up today. I'm sure a lot of you here would know that in COVID times, we had shortage of vegetables and livestock. But a company called Delicious, I'm not advertising for them, nor am I their brand ambassador, but they came up, and now my wife doesn't buy even, she doesn't even buy one piece of fish directly from the market. Delicious se mangao. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Krishna Singhal is asking, how can strategic planning help us get more customers? Most companies are already buying things we sell and are not interested in entertaining new vendors.
If you remember one of the slides where I said that you have to identify 10 attributes which are customer centric in your product, and out of those 10 attributes, you have to identify one attribute which will be most useful for the customer. It could be your product, it could be your service, it could be your delivery, it could be your price, it could be anything. But unless you identify what is that one attribute that will put me ahead of others, of course competition will sell more, because वहां पर लोग बैठे हैं वही सब करने के लिए. अब ये strategic planning में कोई ये नहीं है कि that there is some ये इसमें से हम निकालेंगे magician's hat. You have to we will help you to do a understanding of whether your product has those attributes which will help you to get across to your customers. And customers always want to try new things. Who says they don't want to try new things? And in today's times, customers are wanting to switch everything. And who says people are brand conscious? Nothing. People want, when I said that what is his expectation of the offering, are you clear about what you are offering? And is he clear about what he is getting? And then is he satisfied with it? I'm taking the challenge. Show me your product. Tell me what is its best attribute. I will sell my market share. Number one. Number two, what is the total size of the market? अगर आप market size का खाली 2% address कर रहे हो, तो competitor आपको कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा as long as you have that attribute. You'll have to identify that.
Yeah. I am in Mr. Kanchan Gedam is saying, I'm a government contractor, and usually for government bids, they have the policy to go ahead with the lowest bid. How do I, and many people bid with inferior products. How do I sell in this kind of scenario?
What's his name?
Kanchan Kanchan Gidam.
Kanchanji, I do not know where you are attending from, but let me tell you one thing, that I have been in business for about 37 years or 37 years back. उस टाइम भी प्रॉब्लम थी कि L1 को ऑर्डर मिलता था, ठीक है। आज भी प्रॉब्लम है कि L1 को ऑर्डर मिलता है। Now, no matter how much we may try to argue that this is a wrong policy, etc., that is like beating our head against the wall. The fact is that it will go to L1. But there is something called prescription marketing, where before the tender is even published, before the tender is even prepared, you should know what are the technical attributes on which you can score. तो टेक्निकल में उनकी बिड आउट होनी चाहिए, आपके प्रोडक्ट में वो या आपकी ऑफरिंग में वो होना चाहिए. दैट इज आंसर नंबर 1. नाउ यू मे फील दैट इज बीइंग थियोरेटिकल, ऐसा नहीं है कि हम चांद से जाके कुछ लेके आएंगे. तो दूसरा आंसर आपका ये है, इफ यू आर अ स्मॉल मीडियम एंटरप्राइज and if it is a government contract, then by law, that's why I was saying you should know the legislation. By law, 20% of the procurement by the PSUs has to be done from small medium enterprises, even with a price differential of 15%, provided they match the price. That means if your bid is 15% higher than the lowest, but you are an MSME, the total number of units ordered is 100, 20 units will be bought from you. And if there are more than 2 SMEs or 3 SMEs, then this 20 units will be distributed among those 3 people. So the government is protecting that. So L1 can be defeated by various methods as a small medium enterprise. I don't know whether you have an Udyog Aadhar registration. Are you a registered MSME? If you are, then every tender has that clause. And the PSUs have to report it in their balance sheets as to what is the percentage of purchase that they made from small medium enterprises.
Mr. Kiran Mukaddam is asking, so there are lots and lots of questions coming in. I'll share on email.
I am not in a hurry. I am not in a hurry. Go ahead.
Okay. The SME GEM portal is very complex. Are the government giving preference vendors coming from GEM?
बस जेम पे मैं आंसर नहीं करूंगा क्वेश्चंस. आई हैव नो मैंडेट टू स्पीक ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द मिनिस्ट्री, नॉट डू आई हैव एनी मैंडेट टू कमेंट ऑन दैट. Yes, we can, if you contact us offline, we can put you on to one of our consultants who will help you as to how to work with GEM. But it's not a part of the strategic planning discussion today. That's an operational problem. We'll solve your operational problem, but that will have to be offline.
Mr. Kalpesh is asking, I want to switch over to a new industry. Do you generate project reports for new projects or upcoming industries?
We will generate any project report, but my question is, why do you want to go to a new industry? You see, let me tell you, Kalpesh, I will engage with you, you will pay me money, I will be happy, all of us will be happy. But the point is, have you done your scan? What is it that I want? What is the difference I want to make to the society? What do I want to be seen as? What do I want to be remembered as? I suppose you are a young man. From the name, at least you are a young man. What is it that I want to be remembered as? What do I see my company 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from today? Then you do an understanding, which are the kind of products that will sell? Which are the kind of technologies that will come? What is the kind of political situation? Which are the geographies? Which are the countries? And based on that, once you have that clear vision कि मुझे ये करना है, उसके बाद हम लोग हैं ना आपकी सर्विस में. Then we will help you to make the entire plan.
Mr. Chandramouli Pillai is asking, I am in the solar and industrial automation business. I have multi-talent in this field. Presently, we are manufacturing a few products, but it is resulting in losses. What should we do?
You should make, See, if you are in solar panel business, you should also know that there are at least 1,000 solar panel business manufacturers in the country. All of them are not making losses. Perhaps you will need to take a relook at how you can cut that down. I will obviously be able to do a practical analysis of what are your critical priorities and what are your critical results in order to cut down your losses, improve your profits, increase your revenues. For that, we will have to sit with you and make that plan. I don't think it is right for me to say how, like, okay, ab aap ye karo aur usse wo avoid ho jayega. That will be a wrong answer, and I don't intend to give any such answers. I will be happy to answer that offline after I study the entire thing.
Mr. Badrinath is asking, we have developed a new product for the commercial market. It's a sober softener. We need marketing support for this.
We will be able to give you that. Please send an email. We will help you with that.
Mr. Krishna Singhal is asking, should we stick to one industry or go for diversification?
It depends on what you want at the end of the day. It depends on what your scan is. Where do you see opportunities? Where do you see problems? There is no problem. One can be in 1,000 businesses. Mukesh Ambani is in fiber, and he is in petrochemical, and he is in aeronautics, and he is in everything. But it depends on how much you can handle. And then it depends on what your vision is. What do you want to achieve? And based on that, everything is possible. There is no restriction on the number of businesses that you can get into.
A number of questions are related to MSME money being stuck with the central government departments.
Please tool in all these. My request to all such people who have this common question of money being stuck with the government, please write to me separately. We will be able to support you on that. I don't think I'll be able to, there are, as I can see, there are some 345 people right now here, and I don't want to be wasting their time answering something which is not of their importance. But if many people, and Deepal, you could take a look at that. If many people have that question and they want a specific session only on that, we could do that separately.
Okay. Mr. Sanjeev Mahanta is asking, I'm in the calibration services business, but the rates are going down. How do I sustain?
If the rates are going down, your costs have to come down. Because unless, you see, let us understand, price given by the customer is fixed. The cost at which you are able to manufacture is in your control. Now, many times your cost is high because your volumes are low. Now, you will have to look at what is the correct kind of volume in order to be able to manufacture at that price, which is competitive. For that, you will have to have a growth plan. You cannot manufacture more. You will need funding, you will need people, you will need all of that. For that, you will need a plan. But ऐसा नहीं है ना कि हमने यहाँ पर सेशन किया और मैंने आपके कस्टमर को फोन किया और उनको बोला इसको बेटर प्राइस दे दो. वो तो होगा नहीं. That doesn't happen. So you will have to, the only answer to a price war is cost.
Mr. Pratap Singh Rajput is asking, for a geographical area specific operating distributor, how do I scale up my business?
By first understanding what is the total size of the business. Scale up करोगे कहाँ पर, क्या target क्या है, कैसे target decide किया? Scale up करेंगे, but do you have an idea of what is the total addressable market? और कौन सी geographies में वो market है? वो data अगर आपके पास है तो मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि आप इसका 5%, 10%, 15% use करो. But अगर वो data ही नहीं, but ऐसे ही हम scale करेंगे on what basis? Do you have data of what is the total market available? And once you have, if you have that data, then do you have current capacity to be able to do that? Now, capacity could be financial, it could be talent, it could be people, it could be technology. Then you will have to have a plan for how I'm going to get the finances, if that is the case. How am I going to get technology, if that is the case? How am I going to get people? Scaling is possible, and scaling is required, and scaling is absolutely essential. But scaling with a plan. To what extent? In which market? You have to have a market analysis of what is the total market available.
Yeah. Mr. Krishna Rao Mulapudi is asking, I am in the industrial paints manufacturing business since the past 20 years. I want to expand my business. How can you help me with the strategic planning for this?
We can certainly help you with a strategy planning. One of the things that we do is to make your scale-up plan. If you have been in this business for 20 years, I'm assuming that you will know a lot of the market availability. You will know a lot of factors. You will have a very clear idea about what this technology is all about, the business is all about. What I can assure you that the market is large, and the market need not be only India. You have a market in the Middle East, you have a market in the Far East, you have a market in the West, you have a market in Africa. It depends on how much you want to scale up, and for that, what are the kind of resources that are required, and in that, then we will look at what are the critical priorities and what are the critical results. We'll be able to help you. You can write to me. We'll be able to help you.
Mr. Altaf Hussain is asking, he is in the entrance automation business. He wants to expand his business pan-India, but there are some very large competitors in the market and they have covered a major share. How can I compete with large companies?
You should make a product better than them. And if that sounds theoretical, then you should come to a scale where they can buy you. Don't try to bang your head against the wall. Either make a product better than them, whether in terms of product technology, specifications, price, delivery, economics, etc., or find a way of selling off them.
Mr. Satish Patel is asking, what is different between dealership prices and user prices?
And they're not a question for this session. I'll be able to answer it offline.
Okay, so I think more or less all the questions are covered. There are many common questions are there. There are lots of common questions are there. So
what I would request everybody here, I mean a lot of respect to your questions. I am not limited to this subject and this presentation. My concern is to help you grow, help you sustain, and help you become big. For that, the limitation of time here and limitation of information. You see, like when you tell me that I want to scale up, I don't know whether you want to scale up by 1 crore or 100 crores. So any answer I give will be stupid, right? So for that, I would request, in case you guys have noted my email ID or otherwise, Deepal, do they have our email ID in case they want to write back to us?
Yeah, so they have our email ID, even your email ID, so they can write to you.
Fine.
I'll be sharing the detail. Yeah.
So please write to us. I will be very happy. And if there are a lot of you wanting the same subject, we will be very glad to do a specific session for that.
Thank you, Mr. Ravind, for such an enlightening session for our audience. I know this session would definitely help many of our MSMEs partners in framing their business strategies. So thank you very much. To others, thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. I know there are many questions coming in. Please feel free to write them to us. Send it to the email IDs on your screen. We'll be happy to sort your questions and queries. So do stay connected. Keep watching interesting webinars in this Connect series. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend and stay safe.
Thank you and God bless you all.